Seemed to beat them in Lawrence, though. Their opponent today, the Oklahoma State Cowboys. And the Big 12 right now, well, as usual, being led by Kansas, the lone undefeated team in the conference and soon to be #1 with Baylor going down if they can manage a win today. Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, the only two teams still looking for their first conference win. Again, everyone, I'm Bob Wischusen. I'm here with Fran Fraschilla. And Fran, so far this season has been a league of tremendous guard play, particularly great point guard play.
Well, it seems like every team in the league has somebody who's outstanding. Today we have two of the best. Juwan Evans, former McDonald's All-American, last year's Big 12 Freshman of the Year. Really good. Frank Mason, arguably a guy that's in consideration for National Player of the Year. Another great matchup at the point guard position.
Frank Mason not only leads the Big 12 in scoring, but he is #1 in America shooting the three. And I don't know that anyone ever would have predicted that for Frank Mason's career when he was first being recruited. One guy that mentioned that was Brad Underwood, the head coach of the Cowboys. And the crowd quiets as Oklahoma controls the tap. The Cowboys so far this season with wins over UConn, Georgetown, Tulsa, and Wichita State, but winless in conference play.
I think the surprise of the season for Oklahoma State is how well a start they got off to. Not that they're 0-4 in a very competitive Big 12.
Shot clock under 10 on this first possession. Nice roll to the basket by Solomon, but it's knocked away. 5 to shoot. It will stay with the Cowboys.
Oklahoma State will run a version of what they call the spread offense, something that Johnny Orr introduced into the old Big 8, and a lot of weak side elbow action.
Phil Forte hit the backboard as he tried to beat the shot clock. Mikhailuk has his pocket picked by Juwan Evans. And Evans will cruise in for the first bucket of the game.
Smart move by Devontae Graham. Let him go. Didn't want to foul him.
Off a made basket the other way. Frank Mason draws the foul. Boy, like lightning up the court. Off a made bucket, Kansas. And Frank Mason, who is in the top 7 in the Big 12 in scoring, obviously #1. Assists, #2. Three-point percentage, #1. Field goal percentage, #8. Free throw percentage, #7.
Sounds like the Big 12 Player of the Year right now, early in the conference. And certainly, Bob, a guy that we've talked about among the top candidates for National Player of the Year based on this incredible start, which started in the very first game in the loss to Indiana out in Honolulu when he dropped 30. E for Mason is to bird dog Evans, but he doesn't want to get in foul trouble. They'll use Solomon quite a bit as that high post. That's nice. I like this
drive by
kid.
Jeffrey Carroll. He is a player that you mentioned is really kind of being introduced to America as a kid that has a very bright future.
No doubt. Most improved player in this league so far this year, without a doubt. Junior out of Dallas, Rowlett.
Josh Jackson can't hit. Evans on the drive, a chance for a three-point play.
Well, they've got Forte who can shoot it. They've got Evans, a terrific point guard. And then watch Jeffrey Carroll, the junior out of Rowlett, suburb of Dallas. Has improved each year, but this year, Bob, has made an exponential leap in improvement.
Well, the one thing we know, Oklahoma State can score. They average close to 89 points per game. They are 8th in America in most points per game. Conversely, what they can't do is stop you. They give up about 79 points per game, 305th in America. So them getting off to a good offensive start, probably not a surprise, but how hard will it be today for them to hold Kansas down?
Well, you know what? Kansas has struggled as well with their defense. Obviously, they're at home, but Kansas also an offensive juggernaut.
Jackson, the height advantage on Phil Forte, and goes right over the top in the post.
That's really good recognition. Didn't run Forte over, took his time, he rotated the defense. Recognized he had the spacing. Trying to run that offense through Solomon at the high post right there on the weak side.
Shot clock at 5. Forte off balance and still rattles home a 3.
I'll tell you, Phil Forte has been shot out of the cannon in the Big 12. First 4 games, he's been absolutely outstanding.
Step back by Jackson. Forte saves it.
I like the pace that Oklahoma State's opened this game with.
Carroll crosses over, and what a start for the Cowboys. Up by 8.
We've seen 3 lethal offensive players so far for Oklahoma State. That perimeter game.
Mason drives, blocks, foul called. Mitchell Solomon bumped Mason. He'll shoot free throws when we come back. But the guards have gotten Oklahoma State off to a great start.
Yeah, and watch this footwork by Forte. He's a little off balance, but he gets himself squared at the top of his release and knocks it down. I'm not sure Mitchell Solomon wasn't vertical on that last play in the lane. He certainly thought so. But Mason does such a great job of throwing his body at the defense that it sometimes can look more like a foul than it really is. He gets to the line, Bob, an awful lot. That's his 100th free throw of the season. Really good patience by Oklahoma State early in this game.
Carroll, this is everything. Driving it and getting shut down is Jackson. Stuffed by Leighton Hammonds. Carroll at the other end. Knocks down a 3.
Man, how good is this Oklahoma State team playing right now? Confident. And again, the 3 perimeter guys, tell you, they don't take a backseat to anybody in this league.
Mason uses the screen from Landon Lucas.
It's one of the better matchups at the point guard spot we'll see all season long. And in any league, by the way.
Gerald Vick has his pass deflected and stolen by Carroll. Forte has Landon Lucas caught on a switch. Evans, one-handed scoop off the playground and in.
I'll tell you, there are so many similarities between Mason and Evans. They can score everywhere on the floor.
Mason from the corner, way short. Defense leads to offense for Oklahoma State.
Absolutely. Terrific D by Leighton Hammonds. Watch the verticality. Other end, a lot of options. Forte finds Jeffrey Carroll, who has been red hot all season long. And then Juwan Evans, scoop. Nice.
And they have an early 17-8 lead over Kansas on a floor where Kansas is only 214-9 under Bill Self.
That's right, and not many losses in the Big 12 as well. 5. The last team to do it, February of 2013. There are only 3 players in the country that have the feeling as an opponent of winning on Kansas's home floor. Phil Forte, and then Matt Shrigley and Dakari Allen of San Diego State, who did it in non-conference.
Lucas Gasson comes on for the first time. Matching up with Carlton Bragg, who checked in along with Svi Mikhailuk for KU.
Juwan Evans getting a little rest. Averett, freshman out of Dallas, been very solid.
Davon Dillard, who hasn't played much, just turned it over. He has been at best a part-time player. Number 3 recruit in Indiana on our ESPN recruiting boards, but as of yet under Brad Underwood has not worked into a regular role into this game very early.
Yep, got some minutes the other night. Watched him against Iowa State, so the little confidence is growing.
That time he left Jackson. Ball movement sets up Mason, who allows the flyby. That is off the mark. The back tap run down by Forte. Forte goes right at Luke, gets rejected and gets it back.
Forte's driving more this year, Bob, but not his game. He's a spot-up deep shooter, but I think he likes this offense. A lot of movement.
Dillard leans in. Rebounded by Grant. Mason tried to cross over and dribbled it right off the foot of Carroll. What an effort by Forte.
Well, that's good defense. Great challenges everywhere.
Jackson can't hit from the corner.
Fabulous job of flying around and chasing those shooters off the three-point line.
Averett, wild pass to the corner, tracked down by Dillard. Forte with the shot clock winding down.
Yeah, nobody to create really without Evans.
Has to go against Luke. Step back, fade away, off the top of the backboard. Shot clock violation.
Well, good hand for that good defense by the Jayhawks, but I want you to watch the orange jerseys. A lot of closing out, a lot of hustle. You got to leave your man to get to the next guy. Really well done. Nice challenge by the Cowboys.
Forte and Carroll go to the bench. Juwan Evans is back in. And into the game for the first time is Thomas Dzagwa. Check that. Lindy Waters. And Lindy Waters just returning from a neck injury and a slight concussion. Hadn't played the last 3 games.
Really talented young player out of Norman North High School. Right in the shadows of OU.
Dick sets up Bragg. KU 2 for 9 from the field to start. Backdoor goes Evans. Caught it too far under the backboard and has to dribble it out of trouble. Gasson hit the backboard first. Offensive rebound, Dillard. Yes.
Yeah, good, strong, tough kid. I watched him in practice a couple weeks ago, and they like him. They haven't, as you mentioned, haven't been able to get on the floor, but he gave him some minutes against Iowa State. Freshman getting a taste of Mason.
Mason draws another foul. That'll go against Gasson. That's his first.
Bobby couldn't have drew up a better start for Oklahoma State. They've come in here confident, making shots, keeping the crowd at bay, at least for now. And what Brad Underwood is doing right now is trying to rotate his starters out, keeping them fresh so that they can finish strong in the last 6-7 minutes of this half.
We talk about guard-dominated play. That putback at the other end by Dillard. I guess you'd call him a small forward. It's 6'5", 215. You might even be able to classify him as a 2-guard. However you classify him. If you classify him as a 2-guard, there hasn't been a front court point scored yet by either team. Nothing but guards and wings.
Yeah, that's a good. My description of him is a power wing.
Mitchell Solomon back in. As is Leighton Hammonds. Juwan Evans off the window.
Oh yeah, floater time. He and Mason, I mean it, Bob, they're very similar in terms of the different ways they can score.
Devontae Graham, line drive, 17-footer goes down. That's his first bucket.
Great footwork too. Step back move. Created that separation.
Evans tries a 3. Short, long rebound. Run down by Averett.
You see they're running that offense through the high post. They'll use Solomon at the elbow. But the ball moves and the cutters move, which is what you like.
That might have been a pass from Evans to Solomon that hit the side of the backboard. 9 on the shot clock for Oklahoma State when we come back to Allen Fieldhouse. Great start for the Pokes. This is a rebuilding project as he replaced Travis Ford. What tremendous success he had at Stephen F. Austin. 3 years, 3 straight Coach of the Year awards, 3 straight trips to the NCAA tournament. But Fran, he has a very young team that he's trying to bring along.
Yes, he is. And he knows this league well, obviously, as a former K-State Wildcat. He's got a system he likes. When we watched practice a couple weeks ago, there's no nonsense. He's tough. He's fair. The kids really like him. And, Bob, they need more talent. They need more personnel. Recruiting's going well. But he's gotten the most out of his young group so far, even though the results in the league don't show it.
And he wasn't even supposed to have Phil Forte this season. Phil Forte is a redshirt senior. Mitchell Solomon a junior. So the upperclassmen certainly playing a big role. But Phil Forte last season, 3rd game of the year, suffered a season-ending elbow injury. That's the only reason he's back this year for Oklahoma State. Evans off the mark. Foul called. Looks like over the back will be called on Mitchell Solomon. That's his 2nd.
Solomon's given Brad Underwood really good minutes this year. One of the better offensive rebounders in the country. But it gives Cameron McGriff, the freshman from Dallas, a chance to get on the floor. And that speaks for itself right there, doesn't it? Got to help your team by staying on the floor.
So now a smaller group on the floor as McGriff replaces Solomon. Gives up a couple of inches and a few pounds in the middle. Mason throws it to nowhere. Hit the back of the backboard. So that is a KU turnover.
Good run and jump at midcourt. It scrambled the Kansas offense. Mason tried to break out of it, but then got himself caught behind the basket, threw it away. You know, for a team that scores a lot of points, Oklahoma State, very efficient and disciplined in the half court. Can't think of many bad shots so far.
Evans looks up, sees the shot clock ticking down. Forte from the corner with 5 to shoot. Gives it up to Evans, gets a screen, gets caught in midair and turns it over. Devontae Graham off the mark. Kansas is now 0 for 3 from three-point land and 3 for 11 from the field. Not often that a Bill Self team midway through the first half will only have 3 field goals.
Solid defense, certainly by the Cowboys, but what I like is they've run when they needed to, but they've been really disciplined. Look at that shot fake.
Forte rims out a 3. Landon Lucas walls off Cameron McGriff. Jackson on the cut. Foul. And I think this is a conversation between Mike Stewart and Tony Padilla to see whether or not a foul was called on the floor. Oh no, they have a walk called, it looks like, on Josh Jackson.
Well, now we're confused because Tony Padilla made the traveling signal.
He did.
But Mike Stewart overruled him. Let's take a look now. I didn't see a travel there, but Tony Padilla thought he had one.
Didn't you think that might have been a foul on the floor as well before the pump fake from Jackson? So a best case scenario for Kansas and Josh Jackson. He ends up at the free throw line where he was that close to having one of the officials ruling a turnover.
Well, what confused me is there were 2 different signals. There was a travel signal and then the foul signal, and of course they overruled it. Mike Stewart said the foul happened before the travel.
Pair at the line for Jackson. That's where most of the scoring for Kansas has come from. 8 of their 14 at the line. McGriff for 3. Good box out by Jackson. Ends up drawing a foul. And it looks like that one will go against Leighton Hammonds. That's his second. So now Hammonds and Solomon both with 2.
And it looked like they set that pick and roll play up for a pop for McGriff because he didn't even hesitate, shot it. It looked good.
So Devon Dillard comes back in. As now some foul trouble brings a player that has been seldom used by Brad Underwood into an important role. A miss from the corner for Devontae Graham as these teams are trading three-point looks, racing to the goal. A miss from Jawan Evans.
Yeah, good challenge by Jackson. Evans almost got there.
All right, Beth Mullins, welcome to Allen Fieldhouse. Bob Lasuz and Fran Fraschilla. And they are going wild here in Lawrence, Kansas. Just as we come on the air, putting together a 9-0 run. A very slow start for the Jayhawks, now down by only 2. And it looks like a foul will be called on the cut by Josh Jackson. But Oklahoma State, Fran Fraschilla, their guards, they always seem to carry the scoring load. And Jawan Evans has been terrific.
Yes, he was. He was really outstanding. First 10 minutes of this game, got them off to that lead. Forte made some shots. Evans certainly at the rim. Jeffrey Carroll. We got a matchup of 2 of the best guards in the country from the point guard spot, and Jawan Evans has not let us down so far. Mason versus Evans. A middleweight fight.
Forte thought about it from Steph Curry land.
He did. You know, if they were up 10, I think he would have shot that ball.
The lob.
Yep.
Carroll with the catch and the finish. Well done by Jeffrey Carroll, who's averaging 16.5 points a game.
The most improved player in the Big 12 this season. First time Oklahoma State going to a little 3-2 zone, but Jeffrey Carroll has been absolutely outstanding as a junior for Brad Underwood.
He's more than doubled his scoring output from last year. Svi Mykhailiuk knocks down a three.
And you talk about all improved team, we got 2 of them out there because Svi for 3 has been doing it all season long.
Hammonds on the drive, draws the foul on Landon Lucas. Oklahoma State got off to an amazing start. Trust us if you're just joining us. But Bill Self's team with the comeback.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball, and the $4 Real Deal. 4 items for just $4 at Carl's Jr. and Hardee's.
We're getting a chance to watch 2 of the best point guards in college basketball. Very similar, Bob. Both really good at the rim. Nearly 50% of their field goal attempts at the rim. They both have the floater game, which you need to have when you're 6 feet and under. Solid mid-range pull-up game. Take a look at this move. Whoop! Nice crossover there. And then they both knock it down from deep range. Evans not as many attempts as Mason, but very, very versatile scorers. 2 of the outstanding little men in college hoops.
And the top 2 scorers in the league, both point guards. We also have in Jeffrey Carroll, the 3rd leading scorer in the Big 12 in this game. So it has been not just the point guards, Fran. It has been a guard-dominated league so far this season.
Well, it really has, and every team in the league seems to have an outstanding point guard. And then when you throw in some of the other scorers, I love this kid at the foul line right now. Jeffrey Carroll out of Rowlett, suburb of Dallas. You mentioned the improvement incrementally each year. And Brad Underwood told us yesterday he bought in from the very first time they met as a team. And he said to him, you know what? George Niang's left, Buddy Hield has left the league. Why can't you be the next great wing player? And he's having that kind of year. Of course, he's matched up with guys like Josh Jackson today.
Well, Carroll's the only player in the league so far this season in the top 8 of the Big 12 in points, rebounds, and field goal percentage. So he's been very efficient. Graham floats to the corner. Way short. Here comes Forte.
Well, they love pushing it, don't they?
Forte finds Diller. That little floater rolls off the rim, and the rebound pulled down by Josh Jackson.
Well, Jackson's having a really good day on the glass.
Crossover, foul drawn, and that will put Oklahoma State over the limit. It'll be a 1-and-1 for Josh Jackson.
You know, we talk about this Kansas team this year that may go to #1 if they win today. When the new voting comes out on Monday in the AP poll, we can't forget that this guy, Josh Jackson, is having an outstanding freshman year, Bob. He's not as flashy a scorer as some of the, or passer for that matter, as a Markelle Fultz or Alonzo Ball, but he's impacting the game in so many ways. Free throw shooting is an Achilles heel.
Only shooting 57% so far this season. Carroll lost it on the way up. Taken by Jackson.
He can pass it.
Lobs it. Mason with a return to LeGerald Vick. Don't leave Frank Mason alone in the corner. That time he couldn't make them pay. Great save though by Devontae Graham. Mason drives it instead. Landon Lucas finishes.
One thing we've seen from the Cowboys in this first half, good patience in the half court.
Elbow jumper is perfect for Juwan Evans. There's the mid-range game.
Absolutely.
You were talking about earlier.
That'll be in our highlight package when we get to the second half.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, well, if you think about it, both of these point guards have scored in so many ways today.
Jackson will go to the line. A chance for a three-point play.
Watch this little pull-up off the ball screen right there at the elbow before Landon Lucas can get it. And Josh Jackson, man, he's got a motor that just doesn't quit. And he gets it back at the other end.
Lucas Guesson called for the foul, his first on this drive by Jackson.
He's so good at putting it on the floor, Bob, and he's got that body and that length and that competitiveness.
Pardon me, that's Guesson's second foul. Josh Jackson looked a little lost in the first couple of games of the season in those blockbuster games against Indiana, against Duke. Frank Mason took those games over.
Yep.
As Carroll goes backdoor, sets up Forte. It's a three. But what is it about Jackson's game as we've moved through the year, Fran? He's averaging over 18 points a game in his last three, where you've seen him develop.
Well, Bob, I watched 4 practices in the preseason, and he was trying to figure out his role, the offense, how he fits in. But to your point, once he's gotten more comfortable, he's a very smart, intuitive player. Once he's gotten more comfortable with his role, it's been lights out because the guy has a great motor and a great feel for the game. And really confident right now. And he stayed out of foul trouble. Is that matchup zone? Carroll at the top, 3-2.
Mikhailuk three won't go. Great back tap by Bragg. Mikhailuk drives it. And he will go to the line. Cameron McGriff called for the block. That's his first. On Sunday night, the 15th annual Martin Luther King Jr. celebration game between the Bulls and the Grizzlies. The Grizz will debut their MLK 50 Pride uniforms in remembrance of the 50th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. King. Bulls Grizzlies, Sunday at 9 on ESPN. Obviously also streaming live on the ESPN app, and watch ESPN.
And if you get to Memphis, the museum there that honors Dr. King at the hotel where he was assassinated is something that will move you if you get to that town. You know, we said this a couple times. Oklahoma State, both teams love to run, both averaging in the mid-high 80s. Oklahoma State's been impressive the way they've handled the half-court pressure of Kansas. Very composed.
Shot clock down to 7. Carroll needs some help.
He's got to go and attack.
Over Mason. Air ball. Bragg inside, draws the foul. Again, it's going to go on Cam McGriff. That's his second. So Carlton Bragg will go to the free throw line to try and give Kansas their first lead. KU trailed by as many as 11 when it was 21-10, but
Carlton Bragg goes to the line shooting 2.
a 19-9 run from that point brings them to the point where Bragg could put them on top for the first time.
You know, we've said this about this young man at the foul line. He is one of the X factors. That's the third time today that Kansas has got that sweet, soft roll off the rim. But Carlton Bragg, coming off his freshman year, backing up Perry Ellis, a lot of people thought he would take a major step forward, Bob. And I still think it's in him. And to me, he's the X factor for this Kansas team, because they have a lot of different really good pieces.
KU can't take their first lead. Tied now at 30.
A couple freshmen on the floor.
Foul called away from the ball. And if that's on Frank Mason, that's his second. It is not. That's going to be called on LeGerald Vick. That's his first.
Yeah, he got caught on a switch with Gasson. You like the way I said that? Young man from the Netherlands. Gasson.
Say it again.
Gasson.
Oh, that is
Lucas Gasson.
very European.
Yep. 7-footer. Went to the Canarias Basketball Academy, which is
In España.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yep. Canary Islands, Gran Canaria. Nice
backdoor cut.
Oh.
Lindy Waters finds some room as Jeffrey Carroll, with great eyes, sees the cutter. Mikhailov. Rebounded by Averett. At 5'11", the shortest guy on the floor for Oklahoma State, went way up for that rebound. Here's Carroll. Line drive, triple from the corner. How about the response by Oklahoma State?
Absolutely, Bob. And for those people nationally not paying attention to Oklahoma State, Jeffrey Carroll is a legitimate Big 12 star right now.
Mason lost it. It will stay with Kansas when we come back. And KU still has yet to lead because Oklahoma State keeps on finding answers.
Absolutely. First, the back cut off the little screen. And then sometimes you just got to do it on your own. Jeffrey Carroll knocking it down.
Good job, Andy. All the nicknames are there. Here with the mayor, and he takes us inside the play.
Absolutely, Andy. Pay attention. Watch them learn some basketball here. Oklahoma State, a great job of weak side cuts off that elbow screen. But I want you to watch what Kansas doesn't do. On this play, the screener's man must protect the lane until Vick can get through. Carlton Bragg doesn't help, so he leaves Vick in no man's land. Excellent pass by Jeffrey Carroll to Lindy Waters, the freshman.
So Bragg back on the bench as Landon Lucas is back in. And it looks like Kansas has their starters back on the floor with 3.5 minutes to go in the opening half.
You mentioned how young the Cowboys are. 2 freshmen out there right now.
Mikhailov has a lane. The finger roll is good. George Gervin style from Svi Mikhailov.
Yeah, and Gasson was late. I mean, you're 7 feet and you see that ball coming at you in the lane. You got to get there early. Good finish by Svi.
And the cross is over. Has his shot blocked though, taken away by Lucas. Mason lobs it. Unable to finish with the right hand was Josh Jackson. But he will go to the free throw line.
Well, you know, when you watch Kansas practice, you can go back to early in the season. They're always working on that lob play in transition. And of course, they usually have the athletes to get it done at the other end. Almost a great hookup there by Mason and Josh Jackson.
Jackson was the #2 recruit in America, at least on our ESPN 100. We had Harry Giles listed as the #1 player in this incoming freshman class. And obviously he is a lock one and done. But you can see at the free throw line, Fran, you can see sometimes when he lines up to shoot even the college three that he's got work to do from the outside.
That's right. It's the one Achilles heel he has is that outside shooting. Another missed free throw.
And Mikhailuk runs it down.
Yep.
Devontae Graham finds Lucas inside. Nice seal by Lucas and a finish with the left hand.
Well, Lucas is so good at taking his man up the lane, and Graham throws it away from the defense to the corner of the board. Time immemorial, that's been Kansas's bread and butter. This is what I like about Jackson, handling it.
Stays with Kansas. A reminder today at 4 Eastern on ESPN, an SEC showdown at Rupp. Auburn takes on Kentucky. Last year when these teams played in Auburn, the Tigers pulled off the upset. We'll see if Malik Monk and Kentucky can keep their win streak alive. It's at 4 Eastern on ESPN.
Yeah, very young team that Bruce Pearl has. I think 3 top scorers might be freshmen.
Steve Mikhailuk left alone, in and out. Oklahoma State's dodging some bullets. Waters by himself, and he makes it count.
Well, they love this kid in Stillwater. As I mentioned, he grew up in Norman, and they took a hard look at him, the Sooners, but he chose to come to Stillwater. Good young-looking player.
Jackson, short.
Yeah, the Kansas has not really figured out that matchup zone just yet.
Forte thought about it over Mikhailuk.
Yeah, except Mikhailuk's 6'8".
Evans keeps the dribble alive. Now double teamed. Forte.
No.
In and out. And you were right. No. Here's Mason racing the other way. Finger roll won't go.
And Brad Underwood said, let's slow it down here. We're going to run when it's the right time, but let's run half court when we don't have the break.
1 minute to go in the first half.
It's usually pick and roll time right here. 1-4 flat. 2 of them.
Shot clock at 7. Evans uses the screen to his right, steps back. Short. Mikhailuk has the rebound. And a chance on the break for Kansas, but Graham fumbled a tough pass. Now he'll lean in and score.
I'll tell you what's great about that. Kansas knows 2-for-1 basketball. When they got the rebound at 45, Bill Self was imploring them, get up the floor. They have a chance to get a second possession.
29 seconds to go in the first half. Can Oklahoma State take a lead to the locker room at halftime? We'll be back in 30 seconds to see. Start.
Yeah, take a look. Watch this pass now. Graham and Mason, they're basically twins, play so well together. And Graham gets the ball up on the glass, and there was a 7-second differential between the basket. But because the clock runs, the shot clock doesn't start until the ball is in play. That's why it's down to 2. This essentially should be the last possession of the half if Oklahoma State plays this well.
You have to think Oklahoma State has to be looking at this possession as 38-36. Their lead at halftime is a worst-case scenario.
I totally agree with you.
8 to shoot.
I think you got to get it back to Evans.
He's got it with 4 to shoot. Off balance. The tip follow is good before the horn by Devon Dillard. And it's a 4-point lead at the break for Oklahoma State. An 11-point lead early, Fran, for OSU. KU made a run, but they never got over the top and never took the lead.
Exactly. Poised. There's the floater, and watch Dillard coming in from the backside. Defense is scrambled. Everybody's coming to help or challenge. And he sneaks right in, gets the tip in. Very, very impressive first half by Oklahoma State. 0-4 in the conference, playing well so far.
Time for the Land Rover halftime report with Oklahoma State up by 4 at the break over Kansas. Back in the studio, Andy Katz, Prim Saripapat. It is the halftime report. Oklahoma State never trailed in the first half and took a 4-point lead to the locker room at halftime. We'll see how they respond here in Lawrence to start the second half. Bob Wischusen, Fran Fraschilla, 20 more minutes to see if Oklahoma State could pull off a heck of an upset or if Kansas becomes Kansas, which we probably expect. The guards, though, again, the top 2 scorers for OSU getting it done.
Yes, they have, and they've only turned the ball over 4 times in that first half. But when you have a point guard like Juwan Evans, who's a great passer, but also a guy that can get his own shot anytime he wants. We talked about him driving to the rim before the game, and that's what he's done tonight. We talked about having a floater game when you're 6 feet tall, and he's shown us that tonight. And then also that mid-range pull-up. We know he's got it in his arsenal. He's given us some of that tonight. Mason and Evans have both been solid, but Evans' team is leading right now. And we're going to be interested to see how Kansas responds, Bob. Remember, they trailed by 9 in Norman on Tuesday night before that great 13-0 run.
And they were 3 for 11 in the first half of the Oklahoma game on Tuesday from 3. In the first half of this game, they were 2 for 11. But just like they did on Tuesday night, they start off hot. That's the first 3 of the game for Devontae Graham.
Really did a good job of spreading the floor. And Svi Mikhailuk showing you the continued improvement of his all-around game with that drive and pass.
Forte comes up short. Foul call. And putting Phil Forte on the free throw line, fouled by Josh Jackson, is basically like saying the sun will rise in the east, that he's going to knock a couple down. He is 49 of 51 this year, and you can see his career percentage would be number 2 all-time in Oklahoma State history if he keeps it right there.
That's exactly right, behind John Lucas III, who was an outstanding point guard for Eddie Sutton a little over a dozen years ago. You know, Phil Forte's dad, Phil, was a defensive lineman for the Kansas Jayhawks. Let me take you back 5 years. Kansas recruited Marcus Smart really hard, Phil's high school teammate. I've talked to Bill Self about this on a number of occasions. If they had recruited both of them together, it would have been a good chance they both would have come to Kansas. Of course, Marcus Smart in the NBA now, but Phil Forte in his own right has had a really, really good career at Oklahoma State. Number 12 all-time scorer for the Cowboys.
He's got 2 more threes tonight, 288 for his career, so he's 11 away from tying Keaton Page's all-time 3-point shooting record for OSU. Sealed inside by Landon Lucas. He'll go to the line. Fouled again by Mitchell Solomon. That's Solomon's third. Foul trouble, Fran, in the second half for Oklahoma State could be big. It's almost impossible to envision Kansas getting into foul trouble.
Well, and what I love about that from Kansas's point of view, Bill Self understands the flow of the game. I thought they would go the first possession of the second half right into Lucas because of the foul trouble to Solomon. Certainly Leighton Hammonds as well already has 3, and that's what they did on the second possession. Landon Lucas, the only Kansas player on the roster that was part of that game in 2013 when Oklahoma State came in here and won, but he redshirted that year, did not play in that game. And everybody talks about Marcus Smart, 25 points. It was Markel Brown with a brilliant 28, 22 in the first half of that game.
Devontae Graham left the game with a limp. And Solomon draws the foul on Landon Lucas, so Mitchell Solomon will go to the line. That's the second on Lucas, the first player for Kansas with 2 fouls. You could see the training staff taking a look at that right knee for Devontae Graham.
Well, one of the things, Bob, that we've seen throughout the year that Devontae Graham has struggled with, going back to Hawaii, is cramping. And that may be what that is. He's had a lot of issues with cramping this season.
Oklahoma State as a team is the best free throw shooting team in the Big Ten. Kansas is the worst. But opportunities at the line go to the Jayhawks. That's only the 6th made free throw of the game for Oklahoma State, as opposed to 14 made free throws for Kansas.
Little fake pressure right here by the Cowboys just to slow the game down. Back to that 3-2 zone. Kansas has the weapons, oh, not that time, to attack that zone. Yeah.
Good read by Forte.
Yes. It's a good zone offense team Bill Self has on the floor.
Evans is fouled by Mikhailuk. Are you going to that 2-3 zone there if you're Oklahoma State because Graham is out of the game? Now he's going back to the scorer's table, obviously able to shake off whatever that nick was to his knee. When he's on the floor and Mason, can you play that zone against Kansas?
Well, I don't think they went to the zone necessarily because Graham was out, but I think when you take on a heavy, a 350 hitter like Kansas is, you can't just throw 90-mile-an-hour fastballs. You got to have, the changeup, and the changeup is a little bit of zone sometimes.
Lob, tough catch for Dillard. Eventually it ended up with Carroll, and it's out of bounds off Dillard.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with Oklahoma State just trying to keep Kansas off balance just a little. The problem is Kansas moves the ball so well against zones. And there you see that little 1-2-2 that'll settle back to the 3-2.
And they are back in that 3-2 zone.
Yep, and Jackson's really good passer out of the high post.
Graham, mid-range, short.
How about the effort Dillard's giving them today?
Carroll around Jackson.
Hey, this kid, Jeffrey Carroll, remember the name. He's a junior, but he's a transformed player.
Another rebound for Devon Dillard.
Great job by Solomon, just played vertically, and Jackson couldn't finish.
Evans got sloppy with the ball, then commits the foul.
Well, these are some of the guys around the conference that have really improved this year in our minds, Bob. Of course, Jeffrey Carroll right at the top. Svi Mikhailuk. Isa Ahmad is doing a great job. And Vlad Brodzianski, who dropped 28 on Kansas in that Kansas win in Fort Worth to start the Big 12 season.
That could qualify as your all-name team, too, to go along with being most improved.
Yep. Mikhailuk.
Some tongue twisters in the Big 12 this year. Jackson to the corner to Mason. Kansas has not been their usual selves shooting the three. They are now 3 for 13 as a team. Stutter step dribble.
Oh, boy.
Softly with the left hand by Jawan Evans.
He took that ball right to the shot blocker. And he just got it over the top of the backboard, top of the board. Take a look now. You know who he reminds me of? He's got a little Chris Paul in his game. Floater. Nicely done.
Oklahoma State. Back in 2013, the Jayhawks struggled. Marcus Smart did not. He had a career-high 25. A forced turnover with under 5 seconds, and a Phil Forte layup would seal it. 85-80 would be the final, and Marcus Smart enjoyed the win, to say the least. Although it's amazing, Fran Fraschilla, the 9 losses that Kansas has under Bill Self in this building, there they are. You can fit them on one graphic.
Exactly, and as we did it in a previous game, what did I get? I think I got 8 out of 9. Because there's so few of them, they're easy to remember. I think I called a couple of those, but long way to go. But you like the poise of the Cowboys so far.
Foul called off the Mikhailuk miss. That's going to go against Devon Dillard.
Let's
check that. Leighton Hammonds is called for the foul.
And that's number 4 if it is, I believe.
That is his 4th. So that will bring Lucas Gasson back in the game.
Landon Lucas had great position on that rebound, and Hammonds just pretty much body checked him out of the way. Little zone here by Cowboys.
The lob and the finish. Mikhailuk goes back door. Double figures for Steve Mikhailuk for the 11th time this season.
If you play zone against Kansas, you have to always be prepared for that play. You just don't know when it's coming.
Dillard fouled by Mikhailuk. You can hear lob being yelled from the bench.
You know, that's what we call America's lob play versus the zone. Virtually every team has it in the arsenal. So the Oklahoma State bench knew it was coming, but unfortunately the players didn't.
Hustle play again by Dillard to keep it alive. So it'll be run down by Evans in the backcourt. A fresh shot clock for the Cowboys.
You get an idea why Dillard's been playing now that he's healthy. Terrific energy today. Watch those back cuts off of the elbow on the weak side. Gasson keeps coming up.
Lindy Waters lost it. Josh Jackson poked it free. Mason cruises in for two. Brad Underwood wants a timeout.
Josh Jackson, as versatile a freshman as there is in the country, probably the best defensive player of the top newcomers, knocks it loose, and Frank gets an easy one.
Over on ESPN at 4 Eastern, an SEC showdown at Rupp Arena. Auburn, #6 Kentucky. Last year when these teams played at Auburn, the Tigers were able to get the upset. We'll see if Malik Monk and Kentucky can keep alive a 4-game win streak. 4 Eastern over on ESPN, of course streaming on the ESPN app, and watch ESPN as well.
And we're seeing one of the best backcourts in the country for Kansas today. Certainly you can throw Kentucky in there. I think UCLA's got a fabulous backcourt with Lonzo Ball and Bryce Alford leading the way. Creighton with Mo Watson and Marcus Foster also outstanding. But we're seeing a pretty good one in Oklahoma State today, Bob.
What's your indicator here that the Cowboys got whatever Brad Underwood's message was during that timeout?
Poise, quality shots, and then get back in transition and don't allow Kansas to get easy baskets. Kansas is going to make a run. We know that. So what you want to do if you're Oklahoma State is run your offense so that you get quality shots and have good floor balance and get your big guys back on defense.
Gasson gave it up. Blocking foul called. Looks like on Landon Lucas, who came over to provide some help. Nope, check that. It's on Mikhailuk. That's his third.
Kind of interesting. Kansas only committed 4 fouls in that first half. To the 11 by Oklahoma State. That's changed a little bit.
Mikhailuk's the first Jayhawk to get to 3 fouls. Dillard for 3. In and out. And now Gasson will be called for a foul. That's his third.
Well, he speaks 4 languages, but at that time he obviously didn't know how to say verticality in English.
Well, the comfortable part of this, if you're Lucas Gasson, is if you disagree with the call, you can have something to say to one of the officials that they probably won't understand.
That's a safe bet.
Maybe avoid a tee. Mason, no. The tip foul. Yes, Josh Jackson. We are tied. Carroll off the window.
How good is he? Jeffrey Carroll.
Gerald Jackson, what a challenge by Dillard. And Dillard had something to say, and Phil Forte wants to make sure that his sophomore teammate doesn't turn this into any type of altercation, which could end up in technical fouls.
No, I love the energy. Listen, Josh Jackson's trying to throw it down on you and embarrass you. And as long as you don't try to hurt him, but you go for the ball here, take a look. And you see Dillard is going after the ball. He commits the foul, which is a good call. But you don't want, as the opponent, coming into a place like this to get this crowd riled by giving up that dunk.
And now Brad Underwood gets him out of the game. It's the 5th-year senior that comes over and says, don't say a word. We are at Allen Fieldhouse. There's no reason to start anything in a close game. And Brad Underwood responding like a veteran coach would as he gets him out of the game. Back tap, keeps it alive for Kansas.
Oh, that was LeGerald Vick. He'll get a rebound for that, but what a big play.
Jackson drives, score the bucket.
I think they got a charge.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
After the basket was scored?
No, it's not going to count. The initial call by Tony Padilla was an offensive foul call.
Tony Padilla's first initial call was score the basket. At least that's what it looked like.
No, take
the
a look.
motion he made with the right hand.
It was just bad signal, Bob, because he was pointing the other way, and it looked like he was counting it. Watch Padilla. See, he gives the
Yeah, that usually means the bucket's good. So he faked us all out, and Kansas still can't get their first lead.
Well, they definitely faked out 16,300.
Bill Self lost his mind as well. Carroll, jump hook, off the mark. Now a chance for Kansas to take their first lead. Here's Devontae Graham. Cruising in for two.
Well, what do we say? You cannot let them get out in transition.
Averett, nice head fake. Blocked at the rim by Graham. Mason. 2 free throws coming for Frank Mason.
Got a chance to see Kansas at their best those last 2 possessions. And Mason, much like we've seen of Evans during the game, going right to the basket. You know, we highlighted Evans' 11 points. Mason had 11 and a half, but it was a quiet 11. We saw this in Norman on Tuesday night.
Oklahoma State lost to North Carolina by 32 and West Virginia by 17, but they lost to Maryland by 1. They lost to Texas by 3. They lost to Baylor by 4. And they were right in the game inside of 3 minutes to go against Iowa State on Wednesday night. Lost by 10, but that 10-point spread for Iowa State a bit misleading. So they have been in this position many times before. Like a young team, Fran, though, learning how to win, especially on the road.
That's exactly right. And in this league where you play home and home, you know, road wins are precious.
Forte, nice play to set up Mitchell Solomon, who draws the foul. So there's the 5th-year senior Phil Forte settling things down as Landon Lucas picks up his 3rd.
And he's really improved in that area, Bob. He's not a passing, playmaking type, but his ability, because people chase him off that three-point line, to get into the lane off the dribble, much better over the course of his career.
At the line, Mitchell Solomon shooting 2.
Carlton Bragg back in. And after a rest to calm him down, Devon Dillard will come back on as well for Oklahoma State. Landon Lucas, after picking up his 3rd, gets a rest. Rebound to LeGerald Vick.
Good team to spread the floor with now. 4 guards. Mobile big guy in Bragg.
Mason bailed out by Mikhailu. 8 to shoot. Crossover by Devontae Graham. Buries the triple.
See if Kansas can speed up the Cowboys now.
Shot clock to 5. Lindy Waters for 3. Hello! Lindy Waters beats the buzzer. A force goes, and it keeps Oklahoma State within 1.
You talk to the Cowboys staff, they love their freshmen, particularly this young man from Norman.
Graham double teamed in the corner, dangerous pass. Mason on the drop.
How about the speed and strength?
And now Mason, I think, got cut. Some blood on the wrist or blood on the back of the right hand for Frank Mason. Immediately signaled that cut to Tony Padilla, and Padilla stopped play.
Now watch this defense by Lindy Waters. He's all over Devontae Graham, clock going down. Graham knocks down a tough three. And then similarly on the other end, clock going down. Freshman gets a little space, knocks it down. And remember, he's missed some games with that concussion protocol, as you mentioned. And
well, he's a native of Norman, Oklahoma, and part of his family is of Native American descent. So he is a member of the Kiowa and Cherokee nations, and that is a family heritage that he really embraces.
Absolutely. A number of really good Native American Indian college basketball players led by Bronson Koenig at Wisconsin. Having a terrific senior year for Greg Gard.
How does Oklahoma State now respond that they've fallen behind? The entire first half, every time Kansas got close, they'd miss an open shot, they'd turn one over, and Oklahoma State never had to deal with looking up at the scoreboard and seeing themselves behind.
Yeah, you just run your offense. You know, you continue to get quality shots. Game ebbs and flows.
Evans picks up his dribble. Here's Forte for three. Long rebound to Frank Mason.
But the key is not letting Kansas out in transition.
LeGerald Vick draws a reach-in foul. That foul on Carroll, that's his first. It has been an emotional game from the start.
Absolutely, you love it. You come to Allen Fieldhouse as an opponent, you better bring your best because you know the Jayhawks have answers. A lot of them.
Monday when the next poll comes out, because Baylor being number one for basically one day, they go into Morgantown this week and get blitzed by Press Virginia. So, friend, how do you see the top 10 shaking out with Florida State maybe losing now to North Carolina? Villanova has won. Kansas, if they win today. Baylor with a loss. There's a lot that can move around.
Exactly, and Duke will likely drop out of the top 10. Baylor will drop, obviously, into that second part of the top 10. If Kansas were to win, they'll likely move up to number one. It's good conversation. Doesn't mean much.
Juwan Evans fouled on the drive. That foul on the floor, but it'll be a 1-and-1. Frank Mason called for his second. That's the team's 8th. Both teams are now over the limit.
And Oklahoma State never got to the bonus in the first half because, as we mentioned, Kansas only committed 4 fouls. But you notice Oklahoma State's done a really good job of driving the ball in this half.
And Evans' game is still rounding back into shape. If you haven't followed Oklahoma State this season, as he is a 78% free throw shooter, he started off the season red hot. He scored 20 or more twice and 30 or more 3 times in the first 8 games of the year. But then in practice, before they played Tulsa about a month and a half ago, he injured the AC joint in his shoulder. Since coming back 7 games, he's only had 1 game where he's scored over 20. So 5 of at least 20, including 3 30-point games before he got hurt.
Yeah, and remember those 30-point games, 2 of them came against Connecticut and North Carolina at Maui.
He's got 15 today.
Oh, this is a great matchup right here. These are 2 of the best point guards in the country.
A steal by Dillard. Here's Forte. He's going to wait for some help. Instead, it's Evans.
Nice.
Finds Dillard. Back outside for a Carroll triple. That's good. We wanted a response from Oklahoma State, and we got one. We're tied at 58.
Bob, Jeffrey Carroll. Jeffrey Carroll. You need to know about him. He's been doing this all season long, and he's been doing it under the tutelage of Brad Underwood.
Mason up, under, in, plus the foul. No. They say it is a foul on the floor. So that will put Mason at the free throw line. A hold called on Juwan Evans.
Good ball movement here. Watch Evans. The dish inside. Dillard, good presence of mind. And Jeffrey Carroll knocks it down. But the one thing I'm seeing now in the last, and you watch, Frank Mason's going to start to take over this game on the offensive end for Kansas.
When you talk about Carroll's improvement, his career high before this season was 19. And this season already, including today, he's got 7 games of 20 or more. So he just keeps on setting a new career high.
When you think of the best wing players in the Big 12 this year, you start with Josh Jackson, who's playing a lot of power forward, even though he's a wing player. You go to Jeffrey Carroll, and you go from there, really.
1 of 2 at the line for Mason. It stays with Kansas. Good hustle by LeGerald Vick to keep the play alive.
And that's a second or third time today with Gerald Vick quietly making some plays that's kept possessions alive for Kansas. Here's that 3-2 zone. 4 shooters on the floor for Kansas right now.
Mikhailuk, yes, for 2.
Yep. You know, you're looking at a team right now, the worst three-point shooter of the 4 is Devontae Graham, and he's at 38%.
Evans with a scoop, comes up short. The tip follow, though, is on time for Mitchell Solomon.
Solomon has really become a solid role player for Brad Underwood. Really best on the offensive glass.
Frank Mason, short. Tipped out of bounds by Carlton Bragg.
You know, the one rule change I really like, and I know fans will go, that's a foul, but it really flows both ways every game. Officials are not rewarding the offensive player for driving into a legal defender as much anymore. And we've seen it both ways, not only in this game, but all season long. And I really think it helps the flow of the game. It really does.
Forte to Solomon. It looks like Mikhailuk will be called for his 4th.
The official determined that Mikhailuk inside the restricted arc. Take a look. That's that weak side elbow action. The little
good call.
Screen and roll. Yeah.
Excellent call. The crowd doesn't like it, but that's an automatic call. That is a black and white rule. If you're that secondary defender and you slide over and you are anywhere inside the restricted area, it is a block automatically. And there's another rule, Fran. Do you feel like that extension of the restricted area in the men's game has had the desired effect?
Absolutely. I mean, there's fewer collisions at the rim. That time the defender was not legal. Yeah, absolutely.
2 at the line for Solomon. Back comes Brandon Averette. He will take Phil Forte out. And Oklahoma State back on top by a point midway through the second half.
Gotten a lot of mileage out of their bench today as well. Kansas not as deep.
Jackson, a little too strong. Offensive rebound, Landon Lucas tried to get it back to Jackson, taken away by Solomon.
And Lucas would have been better off throwing it back out towards midcourt where he had a couple of
Evans, the
teammates.
floater. No. Lucas, the rebound, and now numbers for Kansas. The trailer is Devontae Graham. Nice shot fake. Mason saves it. Lucas, deep post position. Up, under, draws the foul. Tonight at 11 at SportsCenter, catch up with Kevin Connors and Nicole Briscoe. They'll recap the NFL playoff action, Seahawks, Falcons, Texans, Patriots, as well as all of the NBA and college basketball, plus the night in the NHL. It's another jam-packed sports Saturday. SportsCenter at night with Kevin and Nicole tonight at 11 Eastern on ESPN. Juwan Evans called for that foul on Landon Lucas. That's his 3rd.
We talked about all the great guards in this league. Kansas will travel up to Ames on Monday night and see another terrific backcourt led by Monte Morris, who is coming off a 30-point, 5-rebound, 5-assist game against Juwan Evans and this Oklahoma State team on Wednesday night.
One of 2 at the line for Landon Lucas. Kansas now 20 of 28 shooting free throws.
Now watch the back cuts off of Leighton Hammonds' screens.
Fortunate, it ended up with Evans. Long 2 is in and out. Graham spots up. Hits his 3rd 3 of the second half. Evans, old school floater, just a little too strong. Nice job getting back Leighton Hammonds to avoid another wide open three as Devontae Graham was alone on the wing again.
Yeah, but Hammonds knew he was going to throw it back to Graham, but watch this play right here. Frank Mason, he always knows where Devontae Graham is and vice versa. I say they play egoless together, Bob, because last year at the end of the season, the accolades went to Devontae Graham, the Big 12 Tournament Player of the Year, and early this year it's been Mason getting the national attention, but one operates better with the other in mind.
Graham again. That one's just a little too short. Another offensive rebound. Vick. That's off the mark. He keeps it alive. That hit the underneath portion of the backboard, so the play stays alive. Here's Averette.
That was great hustle by Vick again. Oklahoma State now run your offense. Don't try to play one-on-one right there.
Instead, Lindy Waters drags down Josh Jackson.
Well, you saw that coming when Waters started to go one-on-one. And Jackson once again with a defensive stop. Great effort both ways, but particularly by Jackson. You see now Waters trying to go one-on-one, and Jackson says, no, you're not scoring on the baseline. I'll tell you, they're going to review that. That may be a flagrant one. I want you to watch now. Watch him grab Jackson right there. That's got to be a flagrant one, Bob. That should be an easy call to make.
Mike Stewart, Keith Kimball over at the monitor, and they will take a look at the same replays that you just saw at home.
Yep.
And we'll see what they come away with.
Well, he's looking at Jackson, and then he grabs the neck. Now, it's a competitive situation. He's not trying to hurt the guy. You can see what Solomon's talking to him. But to me, by rule, this is a flagrant one foul, an easy one to call if you ask me. And they should spend about 15 seconds at the monitor right now. Tops.
Well, they are a little over the Fran Fraschilla threshold, but it looks like they have come away with their decision. It looks like it might be shots on the ball for Kansas if I'm reading what Mike Stewart said correctly. And It is a flagrant one.
Not really much to argue there. And Waters, you know what, got a little caught up in trying to get the ball back. He knows he made a mistake.
The flagrant foul has been issued to number 21, Lindy Waters. That's his first personal foul. Team foul number 10, Josh Jackson at the line.
That's also team foul number 10 on Oklahoma State. Kansas up to 9. So both teams shoot the double bonus the rest of the way. And Kansas continues, as they are prone to do, to leave points on the free throw line. 1 of 2 for Jackson.
Now, if you're Kansas, you are thinking 6-8, 10-0 run right now. If you're Oklahoma State, stay poised, get good possessions. That last possession was not a good one.
Mason pulls up. Looked like Evans may have gotten a piece. Shot clock at 4. LeGerald Vick launches one. That hit the rim.
Oh, a lot of numbers.
Here's a run out for Dillard. Leaves it for Carroll.
Great pass by Dillard. Jackson was tracking that for the block.
And a great recovery by Juwan Evans to bust up the alley-oop for KU at the other end.
One of the unsung heroes today for Oklahoma State, Davon Dillard with the hustle and the dime and the dunk. And we got a game.
Two guys with a Big 12 heritage, as Bill Self going up against his alma mater today on the left there. He was a guard at Oklahoma State back in 81 through 85. Brad Underwood, a guard at K-State, that very next generation. And it was fun talking to Brad Underwood last night, Fran, about how close it was to him going to Oklahoma State and how that had something to do with Bill Self.
Well, Bill Self was already ensconced, and he said, I want to play a little bit. But, hey, let me minor correction. The Big Eight, the old Big Eight conference with the tournament in Kemper Arena, Missouri and Nebraska, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, all those great coaches, Bob, through the years. Billy Tubbs, Norm Stewart, of course, Roy Williams and Ted Owens. And Brad Underwood played for a great one, and Jack Hartman as well.
Now, Bill Self hosted Brad Underwood on his recruiting trip to Oklahoma State. It's a small world, isn't it?
Obviously didn't go well.
Now they're on opposite benches. Jackson, finger roll. Yes.
Now, if you're going to play that zone, you're playing with fire with Jackson in the middle of that zone, because he's not only a great passer, but he gets to the basket effortlessly. First time today we've seen a little continuity pick and roll there. Nice.
Tough one from Averett.
This young man was going to go to Stephen F. Austin, and instead, from Dallas, jumped on I-35 and followed Brad Underwood up the road.
And became the first signee at Oklahoma State for Brad Underwood. Back door, broken up, taken away. Mitchell Solomon has the steal.
Big basket. This ball's got to be in the hands of Evans or Forte.
And Forte gives it to Evans, but it's stolen by Mason.
Frank Mason knew the play, little double down. Phil Forte would love to have that one back.
Solomon, old school sky hook off the glass.
And Landon Lucas raised his eyebrows like, I can't do much about that one. Really nice.
Doubles his per game average. He only averages about 4 points per game. Nice crossover by LeGerald Vick. Rebound Jackson. Fights for it. Feeds Grant. Plus the foul for Devontae Grant.
Well, is this the beginning of a Kansas run? Take a look. Watch Frank Mason shoot the gap on that little lazy pass. He gets the easy one, and then Devontae Graham is the recipient of terrific hustle by Josh Jackson. The finish and the chance at three.
How many times have we seen a team in this very situation like Oklahoma State, keeping it a game, sometimes taking the lead close all the way throughout, and then you get to crunch time at Allen Fieldhouse and they wilt?
Yeah, well, and part of it is because Kansas's team is really good.
Not wilting anytime soon, though, the Pokes. Mitchell Solomon is in double figures for only the second time this year.
I thought you were going to say Mitchell Solomon is playing like Wilt. We spent a little time in this field house.
Mason gets his own miss. Short again.
Boy, Dillard's been around the glass again. Really good role playing today by Dillard and Solomon. And that should be a foul. When the player is tripped like that, that should be an automatic foul. And luckily for Oklahoma State, you get the ball back. Doesn't have to be intentional. Take a look right here. And he might have tripped over Mitchell Solomon's foot.
Is that a foul on Jackson, diving for the ball and knocking it away from Carroll?
No, I don't think so. That was incidental. But Mitchell Solomon, it looked like tripped Evans.
Evans through traffic, turns it over. Mason finishes with the left hand. 21 for Frank Mason.
So good, both of them together. Mason's got 21, but it's been a quiet 21. Workmanlike.
Dillard, short, offensive rebound. Solomon, that's a career high for Mitchell Solomon.
What did we say at the start of the game? One of the best offensive rebounders in the country. And he's done nothing in 37 minutes to dispel that.
Graham blocks. Solomon throws it out of bounds. 3:48 to go, a 2-point game here at Allen Fieldhouse. All right, Prim, thanks very much. Speaking of streaks, Kansas has one going. Not only have they won 48 in a row inside Allen Fieldhouse, but they lost their opener to Indiana, and they haven't lost since. A 15-game win streak this season being threatened by Oklahoma State. Nice drive by Devontae Graham. Score the basket plus the foul.
How many times does Kansas come out of a timeout and score? Now they know that Oklahoma State's going to pressure, and look how far up the lane Forte is before Devontae Graham back cuts. And there's a reason Bill Self's been nominated for the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Checking in for Oklahoma State, Mitchell Solomon and Jayhawks Evans.
You know, Bob, when you think of inbounds plays, end of shot clock plays, last second plays, three-point plays, those are the special teams of college basketball, and Bill Self does it as well as anybody.
Another miss at the line, though, for KU. 21 of 32 shooting free throws. They've left 11 points at the line and only have a 4-point lead. Evans on the roll to Solomon. Yes!
Oh, my goodness. I mean, it's big country here. This kid has been unbelievable in the second half.
All 14 points in the second half.
And a great pass by Evans. Lot to build on if you're a Cowboy fan, no matter what happens.
Mason, the runner, fouled.
Take a look. It's all because of that weak side elbow we talked about. They're going to throw it to Solomon and hand off. Lucas has to help, and that allows Solomon to get to the rim. And good effort by Jackson, but Mitchell Solomon today playing probably the game of his career in Allen Fieldhouse.
And Jayhawks Evans just picked up his 4th foul, so now he really has to be careful, especially if this game goes to overtime. 21 of 33 at the line for Kansas.
Well, remember, Kansas started the year really struggling at the line, but they picked it up in Big 12 play, but not today.
Lindy Waters comes back in to replace Dillard.
It's a compliment getting booted out at Fieldhouse as a freshman.
All it takes is one tackle of
I guess so. Yeah, that's right.
2:45 to go. Waters fumbles it, lost it to Mikhailuk.
Now Kansas has upped the pressure in those easy entry feeds.
Mikhailuk for 3. Short. Offensive rebound. Lucas couldn't keep it alive. Jackson has it, and he was fouled.
Foul call on number 21, Lindy Waters.
There are not many win streaks at home that could compare to Kansas. They've got 51 right now. Now, the reason they've got 51 and not the 48 we talked about at Allen Fieldhouse, it is 48 in a row in this building. But they have forced Kansas, Fran, you were explaining, to take some of those Sprint Center games that they play in Kansas City and count them as home games.
Yeah, and
they should.
And they should.
So it's a 51-game home court win streak, but 48 in a row here at Allen Fieldhouse. Timeout on the floor, so today at 4 Eastern, a reminder on ESPN, catch an SEC showdown in Rupp Arena, Auburn and Kentucky. Last year, when these two teams met, it was the Tigers upsetting the Wildcats. So over on ESPN, that game just getting underway. Malik Monk in Kentucky looking to keep a 4-game win streak alive. That game also available on the ESPN app and watch ESPN.
Now Josh Jackson goes to the line where he has really struggled this year. So if you're Oklahoma State, Evans, Carroll, Dillard, Forte have got to be very strong on missed shots. We've seen a number of times today Kansas tipping balls out off of missed free throws and shots.
Both teams are over the double bonus 10 foul limit, so it's 2 shots for every trip the rest of the way.
I don't know if you've known, and I'm sure you have, Bob, but for a top 5 or top 3 high school player coming to college, does anybody play with more energy and competitiveness than this guy?
He never takes a possession off.
Exactly, both ends.
Under 2.5 to go. Evans spins, blocked by Jackson, followed by Solomon.
Somewhere Big Country, whose son is on that bench right now, Big Country Reeves is enjoying this because this is a tremendous performance for an Oklahoma State big guy.
Jackson down the lane. Hangs, hits, plus the foul. Just a different level athleticism.
Well, there's the hustle by Solomon, but you're right, Bob. Take a look at Josh Jackson. When he plays downhill like this, it's really, really hard to stop him. And, you know, he's an NBA 2-guard small forward, but because of this 4-guard lineup this year, Bill Self creates matchups for him that he normally wouldn't get if he were being guarded by guards on the perimeter.
That was Solomon's 4th foul. Largest lead for Kansas with under 2 to play.
What a game.
Dillard with a chance for a 3-point play. Mitchell Solomon and Dillard came into today averaging between them 7 points and 6 rebounds a game. They have been 2 of the most important players for Oklahoma State from jump.
Yeah, but how about this little pass here by Evans? He gets all the way to the baseline and beyond.
Dillard can't finish, so it's still a 2-possession game with 1:40 to go.
Kansas is going to spread the floor. A little double team right here by the Cowboys. Try to create a little havoc.
Jackson off balance. Numbers for Oklahoma State. Forte lost the ball.
He bobbled it. That's legal. Now you get it to Evans.
Evans forces one up. No good. Mikhailuk rips the rebound away. And if he's fouled by Solomon, that'll do it. It looks like Mitchell Solomon just fouled out going for that offensive rebound.
Evans tried to draw the contact on Mason. And Keith Kimball telling Evans, nope, Mason was backing up, but how about this effort today by Mitchell Solomon out of Bixby, Oklahoma. Mom and dad, Oklahoma State grads.
A mechanical engineering major whose career high was 10 before today. And that was this season. 1 game in double figures. And he scores 16 all in the second half before fouling out.
And you know what? It's been all work ethic and energy. And he's got a little bit of that Ryan Spangler game, that toughness that Oklahoma used to get to the Final Four. Just hustle plays, but how about finishing at the rim, too?
Mikhailuk only a 59% free throw shooter. He is money from behind the 3-point line. Tied for 4th in the Big 12 shooting threes, but sub 60% at the line. 1 of 2 here.
And I think if you're Oklahoma State, give it to Evans, spread the floor, maybe a ball screen, but let him get to the basket. There it is.
Evans, short, out of bounds. And it will stay with Oklahoma State.
I'd love to see him drive into an area where Forte's man's got to leave and help off. Of course, if you're Kansas, you don't want to leave Phil Forte right now. You'd rather give up the 2 points. There it is. Where?
He'll try a 3. in and out. That was the look Brad Underwood wanted. And a foul call that will put Jackson at the line at the other end.
And another terrific traffic rebound by Josh Jackson. You know what they say in The Wire, right? If you come at the king, you best not miss. And Oklahoma State has come in here today to Bill Self's kingdom. Do they have enough? Kansas has answered down the stretch.
But you can see the foundation for Oklahoma State is there.
Absolutely. Just take a look at the quality of coaching that's in this league right now.
Mason knocked it out of bounds. He wasn't going to shoot a three there, but the bluff. And he lost track of the basketball.
Well, they tried to get Waters in. They couldn't do it.
They still have a timeout left to call if they want to get him in. From the corner, Hammonds. Off the mark. And it looks like a foul may have been called. Quickly, let's check in with Prim and Andy.
That's his third personal foul.
All right, Prim, thanks very much. As Kansas is about to shoot their 42nd and 43rd free throws this afternoon. And Oklahoma State will use their final timeout here before Josh Jackson goes to the line. So Kansas 36 seconds away with a 6-point lead and Jackson at the line. It looks as if they are on their way to getting to 215-9 at home under Bill Self. Obviously, if you put up those kinds of numbers, you have been in close games before. They never panic. They know how to deal with it down the stretch, and they've done so again today.
Well, they have a great coach, great players, and obviously a great home court environment. And when you come in here, you have to play nearly perfectly, which Oklahoma State has not done. But, Bob, let's go back to the very beginning of the game. They got out to that 21-10 start. They took the crowd out of it for a while. But you always give Kansas credit for bouncing back the way they have. This has been a great basketball game today.
And I think you mentioned something yesterday that was interesting. That Oklahoma State still looking for their first Big 12 win. As you can see, they're down there with OU at 0-4. But that this is not really the one-and-done conference. Josh Jackson's going to be a one-and-done this year. But if you think about the team that Fred Hoiberg built at Iowa State, you know, the teams, generally speaking, with Frank Mason and Devontae Graham both upperclassmen in the backcourt here at Kansas, and on it goes, that this is a league that allows young players to develop and kind of take their licks early on and then come back later in their careers. And you think that's the type of team that Oklahoma State is?
I really do. You know, being around this league for the last decade plus, you watch George Niang and Perry Ellis and Buddy Hield come through the league, so many others, and then they graduate. And how about the performance of Jeffrey Carroll today, who the country doesn't know much about? You know, Frank Mason goes from being a potential backup when he gets here to one of the top players in the country. This league is young. A lot of good young players going to be around for the next couple of years.
Fourth double-double this season for Josh Jackson. 10 rebounds to go along with 20 points. Almost 7-point lead.
Yeah, almost has to be a three here if you can get a good look.
Well, they wanted to go to Forte. He's trying to fade to create some space. Now he'll penetrate instead and score. No timeouts left for the Pokes. So they give the quick foul with 20.8 to go.
Devontae Graham shooting 2.
What a second half for Devontae Graham. 4 points at halftime, and now he's over 20 as he knocks down that free throw. 3 different players now for KU with 20 or more.
This is Bill Self's highest scoring team of his career. And he told us a number of times in the last few weeks, he said, we're not great defensively yet, But we don't have to be right now because we feel like we've got the offensive firepower to outscore people.
Evans, an air ball. Jackson's got it. 10 seconds to go, and it looks like Oklahoma State might wave the white flag. Terrific effort by the Cowboys, but Kansas does in the second half, Fran, what Kansas does.
Absolutely. Challenged, but this crowd, the team, and obviously their coach, they know how to win, and that's a big understatement.
52nd consecutive wins at home now for Kansas as they survive against Oklahoma State. Next, it's more basketball between West Virginia and Texas. Rich Hollenberg, Miles Simon standing by in Austin. Guys, take it away.